So, what can be shown now? So, this everybody understands probability law, it's the probability that the random variable takes values in your Borel set. Now, what can be shown which you can easily do as homework is that R Borel P x is a probability space. So, for any random variable x, R B R P x is a probability space. What does that mean? What does that mean? So, we already know B of R is the sigma algebra on R, right. We only have to prove that P x, which is the probability law, is in fact a probability measure on this measurable space R B R, correct. So, what you have to prove now? You have to prove that P x of null set is 0, which is very trivial. Then you have to prove that P x of R is 1, right. What is P x of R? If you look at the entire real line, it maps back to omega, right, because for every element omega you have to map some real number. So, the pre image of the entire real line will be the sample space itself, and probability of the sample space we know is 1, right. And then finally, you have to prove countable additivity of P x for disjoint Borel sets, right. There again you will have to use that the disjoint Borel sets will have disjoint pre images, and then use countable additivity of P on omega f. Okay. Is that clear? You can do it, it's just definition chasing. Okay. Okay, so what does a random variable do? It effectively pushes. So, we have a measure omega, so we have a measure P on omega f, it pushes that measure onto R B R, onto the Borel sigma algebra on R, right, and P x is the probability measure induced by the random variable on the real line. Okay, the probability law is nothing but the probability measure induced by the random variable on the real line. Okay. On the Borel sigma algebra on the real line, I should say, to be precise, right. You have to prove it, right. You have to take two disjoint Borel sets. So, you have to take a countable, you have to prove countable additivity, right. You take B 1 B 2 dot 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 as disjoint Borel sets, and you have to prove that P x is countably additive, right. It follows from the countable additivity of P.
So, if I assume omega is totally going, so it can have maximum 2:6, but here it's saying every B have to have a pre-image. So, there will not be 1-to-1 mapping.
That is right. No, see, if you have some, if your omega is some nice countable set, right, let us say omega is throw of a die or tossing a coin 10 times or some such thing, then you know that your f is, you can take your f as 2 power omega, right, that is your discrete probability space. So, in that case all functions from omega to r will be random variables. Why? Because your f is 2 power omega, right. So, pre image, you cannot have a pre image which is not f measurable, right. So, only in cases where your f is not 2 power omega is there a possibility that a function is not a random variable, right. If your f is 2 power omega, all functions from omega to r will be random variables, right. Is that okay? Okay, so that is your probability law. So, in order to specify, so once you have this probability space, right. So, you have real line. So, you are interested in what this random variable measures. So, maybe you are just interested in today's temperature or the number of heads in 10 tosses or some such thing. Then you are only interested in this probability space. You can, if you are not interested in anything else, you can throw away omega f p, right. You can just keep this probability space because you are only interested in what x values of x it takes. So, if I want to specify, so the random variable x, I can, if I specify p x for all Borel sets, I know its complete probabilistic description on the real line, right. So, it appears as though in order to give you a complete probabilistic description of a random variable, I need to give you the probability law p x for every Borel set, right. It turns out that you don't need p x for all Borel sets, okay. It is enough to specify p x for certain nicer subsets, right. Borel sets can be very complicated, right. So, that is what I will get to next. See, I also, when I introduced Borel sigma algebra on the real line, I mentioned to you that you can, there are multiple ways you can generate the Borel sigma algebra on the real line. One of them is using open intervals, the other is using semi infinite intervals, right. So, you can look at the Borel sigma algebra as being generated by sets of that form for x belonging to R, right. Now, so you can, so let me write this. So, this we know, right. So, you know that sigma algebra generated by sets of this form, sigma algebra generated by sets of this form is nothing but your Borel sigma algebra on R, right. Right, you have to prove that this is the same Borel sigma algebra as that generated by open intervals, but that is true, you can prove it. Now, what I am trying to get at is this, is that this probability law, which is defined for all Borel sets, must also be defined for the generating class, correct. So, note that minus infinity x so note that sets of the form minus infinity x, x belongs to R are Borel measurable, Borel sets, right. Thus, p x is well defined on sets of this form. Why? Because they are the generating class of the Borel sigma algebra, you know p x is defined on all Borel sets. So, it must obviously be defined on the generating class, which is minus infinity x. Note that the sets of the form are Borel sets, thus p x of minus infinity x is well defined for all x in R, right. Agreed? I am simply saying that minus infinity x being a very special Borel set must have a probability law assigned to it, right. So, this is well defined. Okay. So, if you look at this, so another way of writing this is, so if you want to write this I can write it as probability of omega such that what x of omega is less than or equal to x, right. So, I should put, in order to be precise, I should put a set like that, right. Everybody with me? So, that is a Borel set. So, P x is defined on that set, right, and that is nothing but the probability that omega is such that x of omega lies in this. So, remember this, right, it is the set of all omega for which x of omega lies in minus infinity x, which is nothing but the probability that x of omega is less than or equal to little x, correct. So, you are essentially this specifies the probability law of the semi infinite intervals, right, which are nice Borel sets after all, okay. And this has a name, what is it called? This is the cumulative distribution function of the random variable, okay. This is called CDF, cumulative distribution function, right, and it is usually denoted by f x of little x, okay. So, capital F subscript whatever random variable you are talking about of whatever the argument is little x, okay. It gives you the probability that x of omega is less than or equal to x, okay. So, in shorthand notation this is usually written as probability that x is less than or equal to x, okay. This is bad notation, so like it is an abuse of notation, but it is like a shorthand, okay. See, if I write this I really mean this, I will keep writing this several times, but I actually mean this, okay. And similarly for something like this people write shorthand probability that x is in B, right. When I write this again I mean this probability of omega for which after all P is only defined on subsets of omega, right. So, when I write this I mean this, and similarly when I write that I mean that, okay. Any questions? So, what we have said so far is that a random variable being a measurable function from omega to R pushes this measure from omega f to the Borel sigma algebra on R, right. So, given any Borel set I can talk about P x of B, which is the probability that x lies in that Borel set. Then I went ahead and said, hey, this Borel sigma algebra is after all generated by these semi infinite intervals. So, they must have a probability law, because they are nice sets, nice Borel sets. So, it is nice to give that a name. So, I have called that the cumulative distribution function, okay. It is well defined because these guys are Borel sets, right. So, if you give me the probability law for all Borel sets I can easily figure out the cumulative distribution function, because these are also Borel sets, right. This minus infinity x is also a Borel set. So, what is not so obvious and requires a proof is that if you specify the CDF, in fact you can specify the probability law for all Borel sets, okay. See, after all, see, in your probably in your undergraduate treatment of probability that you may have studied, you are told that CDF tells me everything about the random variable, right, yes or no. If I give you CDF you know everything about the random variables distribution, right. That is true, it is a correct statement, but it is not obvious if you think about it. So, the way we have developed it, in order to know everything about the random variable I need to know the measure of probability measure of all these Borel sets, but if I only give you the measure of this minus infinity x type of semi infinite intervals, it may not be, it is not clear at all that you can find P x for all Borel sets, right, but it is true that you can do it. After all, see, given any Borel set you can write it as countable unions and intersections complements of generating class, right, and then you can figure out what P x is from f x. See, the way to formalize this is using an object called a pi system, okay. So, I will tell you what this is very briefly. A collection G of subsets of omega is said to be a pi system if A B in G implies A intersection B is in G. So, a pi system, say like sigma like algebra, sigma algebra etcetera, this is another notion. Okay. This is another notion. So, a collection of subsets of omega is called a pi system if it is closed under finite intersections, only finite intersections, no complements, no countable unions, intersections etcetera, right, closed under finite intersections. Okay. So, it is much weaker than a sigma algebra, it is in fact weaker than an algebra also, right. All algebras are clearly pi systems, but not the other way around, right. So, why do we care about these pi systems? So, the reason we care is that there is a non trivial result in measure theory that says if you uniquely specify a measure on a pi system, it gets uniquely specified on the sigma algebra generated by G. Okay. This is a non trivial result. So, this is something I will state, but not prove. Okay. Theorem, let G be a pi system on omega and let f is equal to sigma of G. Let P 1 and P 2 be two probability measures on omega f that agree on G, i. e. P 1 equals P 2 on G. Then P 1 equals P 2 on F. So, what this theorem, which is a non trivial result from measure theory, we will just use it. Okay. I will just tell you what it means. So, you are given this pi system. Okay. This pi system is nothing but a collection of sets closed under finite intersections, that is all. Okay. And let us say that, so and I am f is your sigma algebra generated by G. Okay. Now, I am saying that suppose there are two probability measures defined on omega f. Okay. So, omega f p 1 is a probability space, omega f p 2 some other probability space, two different probability measures defined on the same measurable space omega f, and I am saying that they agree on G. Okay. So, p 1 equals p 2. So, p 1 of some set in G will be the same as p 2 or the set in the G. Okay. So, on this pi system they agree, then they have to agree on the entire sigma algebra, which means if you uniquely specify a measure on the pi system, the measure is uniquely specified on the entire sigma algebra, right. So, why is this useful? Because pi systems are simple and sigma algebras are complicated, right. So, on the real line, for example, so why did I go through this story, right? You can show, so let us pi of r equal to the set of all minus infinity x, where x is in R, is a pi system. right. So, you can see that if you have one set of the form minus infinity x and another set of the form minus infinity y, the intersection of two such sets will be also of this form, right. So, collections of sets subsets of R of this form are clearly a pi system on R, right, fine. And so I am saying now, and sigma of pi of R is what? Is Borel sigma algebra, right, is BR, right. So, now if I invoke this theorem, what happens? So, if I tell you the CDF, which is simply specifying the probability measure on the pi system pi R, then it gets uniquely specified on the entire Borel sigma algebra, okay, correct. So, I can state the theorem, right. The CDF uniquely specifies the probability law P x. Any random variable x. Okay. So, the argument, so to summarize, I will summarize what I have said so far. So, we started off saying that a random variable is a measurable function, so which means pre images of Borel sets are f measurable. So, for each Borel set B, we can assign a probability measure, which is called the probability law P x, right. So, P x of B is the probability that the random variable takes values in the Borel set B, and we said that this P x is a probability measure on the real line comma Borel sigma algebra. So, in essence what a random variable does is pushes this measure from omega f to RBR, and if you only care about that random variable, you can forget about omega f and only look at RBR Px, right. Now, then we further said that Borel sets are generated by this class semi infinite intervals. So, the probability of those sets are well defined, and probability P x, the probability law of the semi infinite intervals, is what defines the CDF of a random variable. Okay. And finally, we said that sets of this kind form a pi system, and since specifying a probability measure on pi system is enough to specify it on the entire sigma algebra, it is enough to just tell me, if you tell me the CDF of a random variable, I can uniquely specify the probability measure P x on the entire Borel sigma algebra. Okay. So, in short, although P x is the complete description of the random variable, in practice we will use f x, the CDF, because it captures all the information of P x and it is more intuitive, right, because it deals with nice sets, right, whereas this probability law has to be specified for all Borel sets, which is a very complicated bunch of sets, right, whereas these are very nice sets, right. So, are there any questions at this point? I think I am out of time. Yeah. So, if there are no questions, I will stop.